Morning, everybody. It's day 6 of running to train for a marathon to raise money for trans resilience in a time of pandemic. Today I'm running in Stony Brook Park in Dansville, New York. Doesn't appear to be anyone here, which is good for social distancing. So I've been thinking a lot about how this has put a lot of people's lives on hold in so many different ways. And one of the ways that it's affected my clients really acutely is stalling the legal name change process. Like most states, New York's courts were really put on hold because of the pandemic. And they stopped taking new cases back in March. Can't even file until the courts start accepting new quote-unquote non-essential cases. But of course, name changes are pretty essential for trans people. It's really the best way, and sometimes the only way, to get your legal documents updated so that they're accurately reflecting who you are. 9 out of 10 trans people have mismatching identity documents. 9 out of 10. That means that only 1 out of 10 trans folks have all of their documents updated to reflect who they are. Isn't that wild? Imagine the kind of trouble that would cause you when you're trying to apply for a job, or if you're trying to apply for unemployment benefits, seek medical care, or if you get stopped by police. I'm actually one of those 9 out of 10. My Texas birth certificate still reflects my very feminine given name and a female gender marker. In Texas, to change your birth certificate, you have to get a court-ordered sex change, which really means to them that you're no longer able to reproduce. That's the thing they're concerned about. They want you to be sterile, which from a reproductive justice standpoint is obviously problematic, to say the very least. But in the meantime, my vital record proves my citizenship, proves my date of birth. It's totally inaccurate. Doesn't have the right name, doesn't have the right gender marker. Really doesn't seem like it's my birth certificate. Imagine the problems it causes. Oh, I don't know where I'm going. Hold on. So this is especially problematic for low-income trans people of color, trans people with disabilities, who are already experiencing exponentially more discrimination just because of who they are. As a white trans guy and an attorney showing up somewhere with a birth certificate that doesn't seem like it's mine at all, you can usually get away with it. But if you're a black trans woman who's already experiencing racism and sexism and cissexism and heterosexism and classism and probably ableism, you're having to navigate all these intersecting systems of oppression, you may not really be able to fight the fight with the DMV to get what you need and what you deserve and what you have a right to. At least being able to get a legal name change could be a game changer. It's an official document from the court that certifies that you are who you say you are, so you can get documents that match. Oh, it's beautiful. Another complication is for folks who might have some sort of criminal record. Trans people of color especially are targeted by police. Are overrepresented in our county jails, overrepresented in our prison system, and usually for things that they didn't even do. So if having a criminal record makes it harder for you to get your name changed, then that means that disproportionately trans people of color are going to have a harder time with a name change than a white trans person. That's not fair. Aside from getting the court order, it also costs a lot of money. The court process itself can be expensive. Buying all those new IDs, it can really add up. It can be something really inaccessible to a lot of people. I have 2 choices, and they're both uphill. Which way should I go? So far I've only run on flat surfaces for the most part. This is brutal. Oh, feel the burn. These stairs are really, something else. There are folks who experience some pretty intense challenges. For example, younger folks who have been kicked out of their homes because their family didn't support them being trans, didn't have access to birth certificates or driver's licenses or social security cards or a bunch of other things they might need to be able to go through the process. Same thing would happen for adults who experienced chronic housing insecurity and didn't always have a safe place to rest their head at night. It's hard to carry your most important possessions around with you from place to place and shelter to shelter and friend's couch to friend's couch. Incidentally, applying for those things without having any of them to start with is really hard to do. Imagine doing that when you're just trying to find a place to live and get food in your stomach, let alone be treated with respect and dignity that we all deserve. So I say all of this to say that there's a very high likelihood that the person you're talking to or working with or maybe even hiring doesn't have an identity document that matches who they are. That's okay. Most of us don't, turns out. Just look around in your local area for organizations that are supporting transgender people. It's very common these days for these organizations to raise money specifically to help trans folks buy new identity documents or go through the legal process to change their name. Supporting those causes can be really important to your local trans community so that they get what they need to live their lives in peace. So, question of the day, what are some other things that you can do to support trans people who may not have been able to legally change their name yet? Maybe it's because of financial reasons or capacity or, the pandemic has shut down the courts. What can you do? How can you support them in this time? All right, let's see if we can finish this trail. If you can't tell, this is really steep. Okay, good news. I found the path back to my car much more quickly this time. I'm getting better at this, I think. If you haven't already, please take a moment to pledge your support for this marathon that I'm training for. Every cent goes to trans resilience efforts through the Marsha P. Johnson Institute and the Trans Justice Funding Project. They're both incredible organizations. Links to their sites are below, and a link to my campaign is below as well. So thank you to everybody who's pledged your support so far. I feel it every time I come out here. I know you've got my backs and it keeps me going. And I'll see you later this week. Have a good day, everybody.